want to bring in now to react to all of this, Guy Benson, townhall.com political editor and a Fox News contributor. Let's talk about the agenda for the president now. Obviously, one of the things that we like to see as investors is tax reform, but we do want to mention here, Guy, that the Dow actually hit a new record, all-time record today. Investors seem to like this. Politicos, especially the Dems, are not going to like this.
A lot of people aren't going to like it, but clearly the president decided that he was going to fulfill this campaign promise. And I think that if you looked at the speech that he just gave and you sat back and listened, one of the themes that he came to over and over again really reminded me of the campaign, where he said we are mired in a lot of bad deals, whether it's the Iran deal or trade deals. Whether you agree or not, that was a theme of his campaign. And he made the case, here is why the Paris Accord is a bad deal for America and why it's unfair for the U.S. compared to other countries. And one of the points that others have made, and the president referenced it as well, the U.S. under this deal would have to cut carbon emissions by 26 to 28% by 2025, whereas a huge economic competitor like China doesn't have to lift a finger whatsoever under this until 2030. He said, how is that fair to us? Who negotiated this? And by the way, it was never approved by Congress.
Well, you know, and we've been debating, obviously, climate change or the non-existence of climate change for decades now. But at the same time, if you look at major companies, in particular the oil and gas industry, we're seeing the drilling companies on our screen right now. These are the companies that more than any other sector said to the president when all the CEOs were going to the White House, we need clear direction. We need to know what the regulations are going to be or not be so we can make business decisions. Do you think that we're going to see manufacturing growth in this country based on what we just heard from the president?
Well, this was very clear direction. There's no question about that. And I would point out, because at the very beginning of that question, you asked, or actually at least questioned, do we debate climate change? Is it real? Is it not? Where I come from on this is I believe climate change is real and that mankind contributes to it. But if you look at this agreement, even if every single box is checked in the Paris Accord, the end result, according to the people who support it, is a lowering of global temperatures by a fraction of 1 degree Celsius. That's the best case scenario.
Right.
So the question becomes politically, is that trade-off worth it? Is the harming of the U.S. economy that a lot of people point to, and the president laid out some of the reasons why, is it worth this end goal in the international community? Is that the balance?
Right.
And which one wins? And President Trump today said the U.S. economy, in his view, wins. And by the way, if the Democrats and people who support the accord wanted to impose a different view, or if they wanted to make their case heard, put this thing before the Senate, ratify it as a treaty, and let our elected representatives, not just one president at a time, decide if this was in our best interest. So Trump, bottom line, following through on what he promised he would do. This should not come as a giant surprise to anyone.
Right.
He said he would, and he did.
Debatable science, and I think many can agree it was a job killer, in particular for, well, Pittsburgh, as the president actually brought up just now in his comments from the Rose Garden. Guy Benson, thank you very much. A lot of breaking news. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you.